Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, I am also good. Okay, so can you tell me about the tech stacks you have worked on?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I have the experience working on Java, Spring Boot, Spring Data, microservices, and from SQL side, I have worked on Oracle and MySQL, and for NoSQL, I have worked on MongoDB. And I also have some experience working on AngularJS, JavaScript, and jQuery. And I can also do the minor changes on HTML and CSS side like whenever it is required. And so basically I am working as a kind of full stack developer here.
Okay, good. Okay, so how about DevOps? Do you have any experience working on DevOps?
Yeah, I have mostly worked on CI/CD pipeline, so continuous integration and continuous deployment through Jenkins. So if we want to deploy the application after, like suppose we merge the code and we want to deploy it. So in that case, we go for this. So that part I have worked on.
Okay. How about cloud? You have any experience on that?
Yeah, I have some experience on that as well. So I have some experience on AWS.
Okay, so what is EC2 and S3?
Yeah, so EC2 basically is used for like running the virtual machines, and S3 mostly we use for the storing and retrieving the data. So EC2 and this both of this provided by the Amazon AWS. So the purpose of EC2, like it provides like a scalable virtual servers on the cloud, so it allows us to rent virtual machines. So instead of doing it on our own premise and making the virtual machine, we buy some space over there and we host our websites and multiple things we can do over there. So whatever the space we use, so only that much of cost we have to pay. So yeah, so and it is a scalable, so whenever we want to, suppose the more traffic comes up, so we can use more of the space of Amazon. So yeah, so that is how things work.
Okay, what is the project management framework you have worked on?
Project management framework.
Yes.
Yeah, so mostly we use agile methodology. So yeah.
Okay, so can you explain a bit more?
Yeah, so basically, agile methodology means like we don't work on the whole project at once. So instead, what we do that we split that whole project into some set of modules, and we try to deliver like in bits and pieces. Like every module we try to complete, and in every sprint. So it is kind of we have a whole project, then we will be having the various sprints of, let's say, maybe 2 weeks of one sprint. So in that we plan to deliver any one specific module, and under that module we divide the tasks on Jira, and each task is divided among the different developers and they are responsible for those specific parts. And later on, once that development is done, then later on we integrate all that and we deliver that. So for this we will be having daily stand up calls, and like each and every developer will be giving their status, and if there is a kind of any blocker or any challenges, they will discuss, and yeah, and we proceed. And we will also be taking the continuous feedback from the customers, because it is like, suppose in the middle customer requirement changes or they want to enhance it, so that we can incorporate all those things.
Okay, what is TDD?
Sorry, TDD. You mean test driven development?
Yes.
Yeah, so TDD basically is a way of the develop software development. So in this process, like what we do is that we first of all we write the test cases, and so initially they all will be like into the failing scenarios, and then we try to we try to write the code so that it gets passed, and further we refactor it. So basically the idea is that first of all creating the all the test cases, all the possible test cases related to a module, and then start with the writing the code uh, under that. So this is also said right red green refactor approach. Red green refactor because red means whenever the test case is not written, then the test case will fail. So it is red, and once we write the minimum code, then it will pass. So it will be green, and then refactor means once it is passed, then we refactor the existing code, and we try to improve the code quality without changing its behavior. So yeah, so this is what is the TDD.
Okay, what is the embedded default server in Spring Boot?
Yeah, it's Tomcat. So by default, Tomcat is loaded.
Okay, so why do you think Tomcat was made as a default server for Spring Boot?
Yeah, Tomcat has been made as default server, but it can also be changed to other servers as well, like Jetty
No, no,
or other
that's fine.
servers.
My question is why they choose Tomcat only?
Why means it's because of the I think mostly people are familiar with Tomcat. That is what I think, and also it is lightweight. So this is mostly developed. This is mostly used by a wide variety of developers, and it is like traditionally it's been so long it is in use. Also, I think it is very easy to configure in Spring Boot via its properties. Yeah, so I think the main reason is because of its familiarity. Tomcat is most familiar with most of the developers. Yeah, that is what I think the reason is.
Okay, how the communication between microservices happens?
Yeah, the communication can happen either synchronously or asynchronously. So in synchronous way, we have using REST template or web client or fin client we can use. And in case of asynchronous way, we use like Kafka, RabbitMQ and all. So in general scenarios, we use REST template and which where we are expecting to send the request and get the response. And for complex interactions, we use fin client. Then we have a producer and a consumer concept for the Kafka and RabbitMQ. So we send the messages and we just forget it. So this RabbitMQ and Kafka act like you can say community boards where service can post messages that other service can read and act upon later. So this approach ensures a robust and flexible communication between the microservices.
Okay, what is caching in Spring Boot?
Caching is kind of we can say it's a special memory where objects are stored, and whenever we have to fetch the data we go and process and we get the data each time whenever the similar kind of data is required. So basically it makes the application more faster and efficient. So there are various operations which are very expensive to make. For example, fetching the data from the database. So you know every time we hit the database in AWS, so that costs some money, right? So instead of fetching, suppose that data is not changing, that data is kind of a static data. When we ask for the same data again, so Spring Cache gives us quickly from its memory. So instead of doing the whole operation of fetching the data from the AWS server and all. So that is what the caching is. So there are various type of caching, ES cache, Hazelcast, Redis. So these are the like kind of frequently used caching mechanism.
So what are the annotations we use in this?
Yeah, so we use, I think, at the rate of cacheable. So that we use to mark those methods. On top of the methods, we can put that like for those methods which we want to, which results we want to be cached. And then we have at the rate of cache evict. So that we use to remove the cache entries whenever they expire. So yeah, I remember these two. There are few more, but this is what I remember right now.
Okay, what is Spring Boot actuator?
Spring Boot actuator is used for monitoring and managing our Spring Boot application. So it basically provides various endpoints. So using that, we can manage it.
Okay, what are those endpoints?
So one is health. So actuator health. So we can see the status of the microservice if it is up or down. And then we have matrix. So in matrix, like it provides the general matrix like about the application, like kind of memory uses, then a request count, how many requests are going on, so all that it shows. And then info, so it that displays the application information. So whatever details we put in application.yaml or properties, so those details are shown. And then we have loggers also. And so like whatever the we have to, suppose we have to manage the configuration log, so we use for that. And then beans, so all the beans are displayed within the application context. So yeah, so these are the like some of the endpoints are there.
Okay, what are the endpoints exposed by default?
Yeah, so I think info and health, so these are the endpoints which are exposed by default.
So how can we secure the actuator endpoints?
Yeah, so so by default all actually endpoints are not exposed. So if we have to expose a few of them, then we can create a role, and based on that role we can assign the like which user is can access which endpoint. So if we have to add those endpoints, in that case we go to the properties file, and there we include, like suppose matrix or loggers also have to be included, so we can include there in properties file. And in case of we want some user to be so which who can able to access all the endpoints, so we can say just a star. I mean, in the properties file we can mention web exposure dot include equal to a star. So like that user will be able to see the all the endpoints in the actuator.
Okay, suppose your Spring Boot microservices is live and you encounter the situation that there are few users who are unnecessarily hitting the multiple requests. So basically, they are abusing the URL endpoints. Okay. So is there any way to prevent this in Spring Boot?
Yeah, I think this can be prevented. So this is basically called the rate limiting. So there are few libraries are there like bucket4j or spring cloud gateway. So it has built-in rate limit capability. So we can integrate these libraries, and we can define the policies like, okay, so a specific user can hit this many number of hits, within a given time frame. And so this involves configuring a few annotations or settings in application properties to specify the rate limits. So in the properties file we can mention that. And so yeah, so this basically this doing this setup helps preventing the this kind of URL abuse.
Okay, okay. Okay, so in microservice architecture, how do you make sure that any application failure happens? So, how do you handle the application failure in Spring Boot?
Yeah, so we can use some techniques like circuit breaker or some libraries like resilience 4j. So whenever the any service stops working, so circuit breaker stop calling that, so we can write the fallback method. So as soon as the service is down, so instead of giving the error, so we call that fallback method, and that can be uh, shown to the user. So also we can set up the timeouts to avoid the waiting for too long for a specific service to give the response. So yeah, so this is this way we can make sure that application is keep on running smoothly without any issues. So yeah.
Okay, how do you do the testing in Spring Boot? Suppose we have the communications are happening, right, between the microservices. So, how do you test this?
For testing we can use Mockito to mock the microservices. So we can use wire mock or Mockito to, so basically in this we assume that we already have the microservice running, and we assume that this is giving the correct response, because this is the part of unit testing, right? So another service has already been tested, so we are not going to test them once again, and we assume that whatever response it is giving correctly. So using this Mockito and this wire mock, so we can set up the fake responses to our request. So whenever we are writing any logic or something, so within that fake call will give the correct response, and we will assume that that fake call is always working. So yeah, so this is how we can proceed for the testing. Yeah.
Okay, have you ever used internationalization in Spring Boot?
Internationalization, yeah, we have used this for one of our client which also wanted in German language apart from English. So we have done that, and for that basically uh, we have to in the resource folders we put the files. So the file name will be like uh, maybe masses, and then en or something like that dot properties. So that will be, that en will be like for English it is en, so that will be the language code. So that we can give, and we can give in that properties file. So um, whatever the string we have there, so in a German language or any other language, so all that we write over there as well. So Spring Boot uses these files to pick the right language, and based on the user setting, so we can set rules on how to choose the user's language without something with something called local resolver. So this resolver basically resolves to some specific language, and that language is picked. So this is how the people from the different world can use our Spring Boot application.
Okay, what are the Java versions you have worked on?
I have worked with Java 7, 8.
So, you have experience on Java 8, right?
Yes, yes, I have.
Okay. So, what are the some terminal operations in Java streams? Can you tell?
Yeah, we have many like collect is there, for each is there, then uh, then reduce is there, and then find first is there. Yeah, these are the some of the operations we can do.
Okay, do you know how we handle the exception in Java streams?
Yeah, so basically, handling exception in Java streams is not straightforward. So we can use like wrappers for exception to handle exception within Lambda expression. In that we can give Lambda expression, and under that we can write try, and there we can give catch.
Okay, do you know what is the difference between flat map and map in Java streams?
Yeah, the flat map and map both used to transform element in a stream. So map transforms each element in a stream into another form. So it produces a new stream where each element in the result of applying the provided function to the original element. And flat map basically flattens the structure and transform each element into a stream. So it is useful for handling streams of collections or arrays. So like let's say we have the two list, and we want the both of the list to be in a single list, and we want the output of that. So we can use flat map for this. So we can say that list of lists, and then dot stream dot flat map, and then we can further stream that. So yeah.
Okay, what is lazy evolution in Java streams?
Lazy evaluation in Java stream means that the actual processing of a data is defined until a terminal operation is invoked. So intermediate operations such as map and filter are not executed immediately, but are instead pipelined. So this allows for optimization such as short circuiting operations or combining multiple intermediate operations into single pass over the data.
Okay, what is optional in Java 8?
Yeah, the optional is used to handle null pointer exceptions.
Okay, why we use optional?
So yeah, optional has been introduced to avoid null pointer exception. So before Java 8, it was very difficult to handle. So by using optional, we can explicitly indicate that a value might be absent. So it reduces the risk of encountering null-related errors.
Okay, any other advantage of it?
Other advantage in the sense it is a functional programming style. So it supports a functional style of operation. So it allows us to write more concise and expressive code. It provides some methods like map, flat map, right? If present. So these are very much helpful. Also, it removes the boilerplate codes. So earlier, before Java 8, we used to write the separate code to check the null pointers and handle it. So instead of writing explicit null checks and conditional logic, we can use optional method to handle these scenarios like more efficiently. It is also better way of error handling.
Okay, how do you handle soft delete? So suppose you have some list of users and you want them to be deleted, but still in the database you want to keep it. You don't want them to permanently remove it. So how do you do that?
Yeah, for that, what we can do that we can have one additional column, like maybe deleted or something like that, and we can give one timestamp. And um, so whenever from the UI or from the API, uh, whenever we try to delete, or whenever user tries to delete, so in that case in database we just update that particular column, and we mark them as like deleted, maybe we can say true, that's all. But actually we don't delete the row. And we also make sure that whenever any uh, any fetch is happening, so whenever any get request is being performed, so we make sure that we don't fetch all the records, we filter out the records which has that deleted true. So we will have to write additional logic in our DOA layer. So yeah, that is how we can do that. Yeah.
Okay, suppose there is a query which you are trying to hit and you notice the slowness in that query result. So, how do you resolve that? So, what are the steps you follow?
Yeah, so basically for to optimize any query, we do the indexing, and we also analyze the query, like whether unnecessary joins and all has been done, or so those things we do that. And yeah, indexing also we do. Suppose we are trying to hit multiple times any specific column, so we also do indexing on that column. Yeah, so these are the things we can do to optimize the any query.
Okay, what is lazy loading and eager loading? Do you know about this?
Yeah, lazy loading basically means suppose any employee class is there, and it has, let's say, address is there, and address is another object inside that employee class. So whenever we do fetch type is equal to lazy, so in that case it will fetch only the employee object, so the corresponding address will not be there. So and in case of eager loading, as soon as we say, we fetch the employee object, so underlying to that the address object will also have the data. So I mean it is eagerly it fetches the data. So uh, so best practice is to do, basically it depends on the situation when we want eager loading or lazy loading. So normally lazy loading we can go when at the same time we don't want the data to be all the data to be shown. And whenever until unless we say employee dot address, then only that address will be, the another we can see in the console like another hit is made whenever we say employee dot address, right? Then only the address will be loaded. So this is what is the difference between these two.
Okay, what is the difference between uh, db collection dot find and find one?
Find and find one, yeah. So a find returns the cursor to the document that matches the query, and it can return multiple documents, more than one document also, but find one basically returns only one document from the query. So yeah, so this is the difference between these two. So find will basically return the list, and find one will return only one object.
Okay, okay, okay. Can you tell me the difference between let, where, and const in JavaScript?
Let, var and const. Okay, so after ES6 we try not to use var, and mostly we try to use let or const wherever possible. So basically if someone is using var, in that case that variable can be changed, and suppose that var is being used inside the function, so uh, it can be uh, redeclared. And suppose we are doing a var a equal to something, then again second time var a equal to some xyz we are declaring, so it won't throw any error and it will accept, and it can be easily updated. But this is not the case with const and let. So const and let are basically block scoped, but this is not the case with const and let. So const and let are basically block scoped. It is only accessible within the block. With let and const, we cannot do the redeclaration. Now the main difference between let and const is, suppose we have to do the reassignment. Suppose let a equal to um, xyz, if we say, and again we are saying a equal to abc, so that is allowed. But in case of const, it is not allowed because that is a constant. Yeah, so that is the main difference. So yeah.
Okay, okay. So, how many ways the object can be created in JavaScript?
Yeah, there are multiple ways. So from ES6 onwards, so like Java, we can also create the class in JavaScript as well. So that is one way. Then we have another way is using object literal. So like we can simply say let um, person equal to, and in the block we can give the all the properties in key value pairs, like uh, name, age, and whatever is there. So all those values we can give, and we can access using dot. Then I think we also can uh, create it using a new object constructor. So in this case also we can say uh, let a equal to new object, and a dot all the properties we can add with that, and we can assign the values to that. Then I think we also have object dot create function as well. So yeah, so these are the ways we can create object in JavaScript.
Okay, so what is the difference between double equal to and triple equal to? Have you ever used a triple equal to in JavaScript?
Yeah, triple equal to is used to compare the value as well as the data type both. So if we have to only compare the value, um, irrespective of data type, in that case double equal to will work. So for example, if um, suppose a number is there, number one is there, and that we are trying to relate with double equal to in double quotes one, with the string one, right? So it will be true because the value is same, although the data type is changed. But if suppose we use a triple equal to compare these two elements, so in that case it will return false because data type is not same. One is number and another one is the string. So yeah, so this is the difference.
Okay, suppose any Spring Boot API is there and you want to make the call through JavaScript to that API. So, how do you do that? Can you tell me the steps?
Yeah, sure. So we can make the Ajax call. So in the under the script tag, so we will have the $.ajax, and in that we can mention the URL and whatever the type, and then under the success block, whatever the data will be there, that will be coming up, and then we will have the error block. So under that, if suppose any error happens, then it will come to that block. The another way is using fetch API. So I have not used that much, but we can use fetch, and I think we can give the URL under that, and then it comes, the response comes. Yeah, and we can also, I think we can handle the error
Mm-hmm.
under the catch block.
Okay, okay. So, how do you do that in case of React?
So in case of React, I think. uh, again we can use that fetch, and as well as we also have the Axios, so that also we can use to fetch the data from the Spring Boot API or any API. So basically fetch is inbuilt, and Axios, we have to install it using npm install Axios, and then we can further use it.
Okay, suppose your Spring Boot API is deployed on some different port, let's say 8080, right? And your React is deployed on different server, right? So let's say 3000 or any other port. So still, can you communicate between these two, or you have to do some setup?
Yeah, we have to do some setup. Basically this is case of cross origin resource. So we have CORS. So I mean, whenever we try to communicate between the different uh, applications which is deployed separately, so we have to tell, in this case, for example, React.js is trying to communicate with the Spring Boot API. So in Spring Boot we will have to mention in the configuration, to allow origins from the 3000. So we can mention, I think we have registry, and in that registry we can say dot allowed origins, and there we can mention like from which URL, including the port we want to receive the data, and it should create no problem. So yeah, we will have to configure this.